Malaysia makes appeal to limit use of veto power in UNSC. Trudeau survives vote of no confidence in Parliament. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I am Olivia Nicholas and you're watching World Today. Malaysia has made a strong appeal to limit the use of veto power in the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, stressing that the unchecked use of veto has obstructed peace efforts, particularly in the case of Palestine. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Mohammed Hassan stressed that the veto should not be used to block resolutions aimed at upholding international law and protecting innocent civilians. He also urged the Security Council to fully support the implementation of Resolution ES 1024, which was adopted by the General Assembly on the 18th of September with overwhelming backing. He described the resolution as a vital step towards securing justice for Palestine, stressing that the Security Council must not allow it to be undermined by the exercise of veto power. The UN General Assembly adopted the resolution which demanded that Israel ends its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory within 12 months, as aligned with the International Court of Justice's advisory opinion. With 124 states in favour, the veto reflects strong international support for justice and human rights. However, 14 states opposed the resolution, while 43 abstained. Malaysia should take advantage of Laos' experience as a guide to become more proactive and prepared when it assumes the ASEAN chairmanship next year. Malaysia Ambassador to Laos, Eddie Irwan Mahmud, said that although Laos is economically behind other ASEAN countries, Malaysia can learn from the country's approach in terms of hospitality.
So kita faham dari segi kekangan Laos ni adalah negara yang dari segi ekonomi yang agak rendah dalam negara ASEAN, dan kita tak mengharapkan sebarang inilah segi bentuk bantuan kewangan dan sebagainya, tapi kita belajar daripada cara mereka mengendalikan hospitality lah kepada pada negara-negara ASEAN ni lah, walaupun mereka mempunyai kekangan dari segi kewangan dan tenaga kerja dan sebagainya, kekangan fasiliti bagi hotel, angkutan, tapi mereka setakat ni bagi yang terbaik. So kita kena sedia maklum tu, dan kita sebagai sebuah negara, Malaysia sebagai sebuah negara pengasas ASEAN ni, kita perlu lebih baiklah.
He added that Malaysia is better prepared to take over the ASEAN Chairmanship for the fifth time, having previously held the position in 1977, 1997, 2005 and 2015. Laos Prime Minister Sonexay Siphandone is scheduled to hand over the ASEAN Chairmanship to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim on the 11th of October during the ASEAN Summit. The 44th ASEAN Summit will take place in Vientiane, Laos from the 6th to the 11th of October. France and the United States have proposed a 21-day ceasefire in Lebanon after days of deadly strikes by Israel against Iranian-backed group Hezbollah. France unveiled the proposal at the Emergency Security Council session shortly after talks at the United Nations between President Joe Biden and Emmanuel Macron. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said that the two Western powers were proposing a temporary ceasefire of 21 days to allow for negotiations.
La guerre n'est pas inéluctable. Une solution diplomatique est possible. Ces derniers jours, nous avons travaillé avec nos partenaires américains à une plateforme de cessez-le-feu temporaire de 21 jours pour permettre les négociations. Cette plateforme va être rendue publique très rapidement et nous comptons sur les deux parties pour l'accepter sans tarder.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also urged an immediate ceasefire in Lebanon. Israel said it welcomed diplomacy on Lebanon but vowed to pursue its goal of degrading Hezbollah. The violence comes after the failure to reach a ceasefire in Gaza, where Israel for nearly a year has been seeking to wipe out another Iranian ally, Hamas. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned that Tehran, which in recent weeks has held back on retaliatory strikes on Israel after attacks targeting Iranian interests, may no longer be restrained.
Iran has already shown tremendous patience and restraint for the sake of regional peace and stability. Iran firmly upholds its inherent right to defend its vital interests. And finally, Iran will not remain indifferent in case of a full-scale war in Lebanon. We stand with the people of Lebanon with all means.
Meanwhile, Israel's army chief has told soldiers to prepare for a possible ground offensive in Lebanon as the Air Force conducted hundreds of deadly strikes around the country. According to a statement from the military, extensive airstrikes in Lebanon targeting the armed group Hezbollah could pave the way for them to enter the territory. Lebanon's health minister said Wednesday's strike killed 51 people and injured 223, including in mountainous areas outside Hezbollah's traditional strongholds. Hezbollah said it had targeted Israel's Mossad spy agency on Tel Aviv's outskirts in the morning, the first time it had fired a ballistic missile in almost a year of cross-border clashes sparked by the Gaza war. In response, Israel said it hit 60 Hezbollah intelligence sites among hundreds of the group's targets struck across Lebanon. The UN's International Organization for Migration said 90,000 people had been displaced in Lebanon since Monday. Meanwhile, hundreds of Syrian citizens living in Lebanon returned to Syria due to the Israeli strikes hitting various areas in Lebanon. At the Syrian-Lebanese border, Syrian Red Crescent volunteers provided medical care to those in need.
والله صار قصف وضرب وطلعنا كنا بالغبير انضربنا رحنا على بيروت كمان صار ضرب ورجعنا على سوريا.
كنت ساكن ببيروت بالضاحية كنا بنشتغل وقاعدين يعني مستقرين ففجأة صار الانفجارات وهيك فاضطرينا نترك شغلنا ونرجع لسوريا.
The bombardment of southern villages, targeting what the Israeli government claims are Hezbollah-linked sites, has forced tens of thousands of Lebanese and Syrians to flee their homes. As fighting has eased in the ruins of Gaza, Israel's military focus has shifted to the north. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau survived a vote of no confidence in the first major test for his minority Liberal government, whose popularity has waned after 9 years in office. His tenuous grip on power, however, is already set to face more challenges in the coming weeks, with the main opposition Conservatives vowing to try again to topple the government as early as Tuesday. Following a heated debate that saw members of parliament trade insults and slam their fists on desks, they voted 211 to 120 against the Conservative motion to unseat the Liberals. Tory leader Pierre Poilievre railed against Trudeau for what he said was a failure to address soaring costs of living, a housing crisis and crime, while doubling the national debt. But other opposition parties whose support is needed to bring down the Liberals have pushed back against his right-wing agenda. Poilievre vowed to keep trying, with the next opportunity to bring down the government to be presented next week. If that fails, he will have a few more chances before the end of the year. The separatist Bloc Québécois has also demanded concessions from the ruling Liberals for its continued support in Parliament beyond the end of October. Trudeau swept to power in 2015 and has managed to hold on by defeating two of Poilievre's predecessors in 2019 and 2021 ballots. But he has faced a number of setbacks in recent months, including by-election losses in two of his party's strongholds. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced plans to broaden Moscow's rules on the use of its nuclear weaponry, allowing it to unleash a nuclear response in the event of a massive air attack. Under the proposed rules, Russia would also consider any attack by a non-nuclear country supported by a nuclear power as a joint attack by both.
Также четко фиксируются условия перехода России к применению ядерного оружия. Будем рассматривать такую возможность уже при получении достоверной информации о массированном старте средств воздушно-космического нападения и пересечении ими нашей государственной границы. Имея в виду самолеты стратегической или тактической авиации, крылатые ракеты, беспилотники, гиперзвуковые и другие летательные аппараты. Оставляем за собой.
The president said the proposed changes also meant they reserve the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression against Russia and Belarus, Moscow's close ally. TASS state news agency reported the proposed new doctrine has been prepared as a draft while Putin needs to approve the text for it to enter force. The changes come as Ukraine is seeking permission from Western allies to use long-range precision weaponry to strike targets deep inside Russia, so far to no avail. Coming up, Malaysia officially establishes diplomatic relations with Andorra. Stay tuned.
Kementerian Perdagangan Dalam Negeri dan Kos Sara Hidup KPDN sedang mengadakan program jualan rahmah madani di semua kawasan Parlimen dan Dewan Undangan Negeri. Anda boleh dapatkan barangan keperluan harian pada harga yang berpatutan dan diskaun sehingga 30%. Datuk nak pergi mana ni?
Pastinya ke program jualan rahmah madani. Kepada anda yang ingin mendapatkan maklumat, tarikh dan lokasi penganjuran program jualan rahmah madani di sekitar anda, sila layari portal KPDN. Jangan lepaskan peluang ini. Jom kita nikmati diskaun 10 hingga 30% dalam PJR Madani.
Macam-macam ada. Rahmah itu
berkat.
Malaysia has officially established diplomatic relations with the Principality of Andorra, making a significant milestone in the relationship between the two nations. Foreign Minister Dato Sri Mohammed Hassan described the partnership as vital and timely, particularly in fostering cooperation on international justice and humanitarian efforts. The official agreement was formalized through the exchange of notes ceremony at Malaysia's permanent mission to the United Nations UN on Wednesday, with Dato Sri Mohammed and his Andorran counterpart, Ima Torfaus, in attendance. While formal diplomatic relations have just been established today, the close ties between Malaysia and Andorra have existed for some time, particularly in upholding international justice and humanitarian causes. Andorra has also been a strong voice in condemning Israel's atrocities against the Palestinian people in Gaza. Dato Sri Mohammed also expressed optimism that Andorra's renowned winter tourism industry could complement Malaysia's offerings, encouraging greater people-to-people exchanges between the two countries. Foss expressed her appreciation for Malaysia's warm hospitality and noted the long-standing historical ties between the two nations. New York Mayor Eric Adams was indicted on federal criminal charges following multiple probes into alleged corruption within his administration and the resignations of the top officials. The exact charges in the sealed indictment were not yet clear. However, according to the New York Times, Adams is now the first sitting New York mayor to face such charges.
Fellow New Yorkers,
at least 4 federal probes are underway against the Democratic ex-cop, including 3 led by the U.S. District Court in Manhattan, investigating people in the mayor's orbit and high-ranking officials in his administration. Details of the indictment are expected to be revealed by federal prosecutors on Thursday, which attributed information on the indictment to sources familiar with the matter. Adams, who is up for re-election in 2025, has put up a front of business as usual throughout the investigations. Earlier in the day, U.S. House Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called on the 64-year-old mayor to resign for the good of the city. The first time a national figure has publicly urged him to step down from running the United States' largest city. Sri Lanka will begin talks immediately with the International Monetary Fund (IMF) to advance the country's $2.9 billion bailout program. Its newly elected president, Anura Kumara Desanayake, made the announcement in a televised address on Wednesday. Desanayake, who won the presidency on Saturday, is looking to renegotiate the IMF's revenue targets, aiming to lower higher income taxes and redirect funds towards the welfare programs for those hardest hit by the ongoing financial crisis.
අප අපේක්ෂා කරන වෙනස සඳහා සැලකියුතු කාලයක් තුළ පියවර රැසක් ගැනීමට තිබෙනවා. එහෙත් ඒ සියල්ල රැඳී පවතින්නේ වර්තමාන ආර්ථිකය තුළ ස්ථාවරත්වය හා විශ්වාසය ගොඩනැන්වීමෙන් පමණයි. ඒ සඳහා ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදල සමග කඩිනමින් සාකච්ඡා ආරම්භ කර විස්තීර්ණ ණය පහසුකමට අදාළ කටයුතු ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාමට අප අදහස් කරනවා. ණය ප්‍රතිවගත කරන වැඩසටහන ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාම සඳහා අදාළ ණය පාර්ශ්ව සමග සාකච්ඡා කර ඒ සම්බන්ධ කටයුතු හැකි ඉක්මනින් නිම කර අදාළ ණය සහන ලබා ගැනීමට අපි කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒ සඳහා මේ රටේ ජනතාව වගේම ජාත්‍යන්තර ප්‍රජාවගේ සහයෝගයත් ලබා ගත හැකි බවට අප විශ්වාස කරනවා. ඒ සහයෝගය තුලින් අපිට සාමූහික ජයග්‍රහණ කළ හැකි බව අපි තරයේ විශ්වාස කරනවා.
Dissanayake dissolved parliament on Tuesday and is hoping to strengthen his hand in the 225-member House when general election is held on the 14th of November. His coalition held just 3 seats in the parliament elected in August 2020. The severe shortfall of dollars spun Sri Lanka's economy into a deep financial crisis 2 years ago, sending inflation soaring to a high of 70% in September 2022 and forcing the country to default on its foreign debt. German auto giant Volkswagen has rejected union demands for pay increases. The manufacturer has instead threatened cost cuts during initial collective bargaining negotiations with labour leaders on Wednesday. Labour leaders said VW bosses also refused to provide more details about possible mass layoffs and plant closures that have been threatened by VW management as part of austerity efforts in recent weeks. The IG Metal Trade Union, which represents much of VW's workforce, is demanding a 7% wage increase at both VW and across the entire German auto industry. The talks on Wednesday lasted about 3 hours. Further meetings have not yet been scheduled, but the lead negotiator for the trade union said he hoped further talks would take place before the end of November. Europe's biggest car maker shocked its 300,000 employees in Germany this month when it said it was considering closing factories in the country, a potential first in the group's 87-year history. The manufacturer has been hit hard by high manufacturing costs, a stuttering switch to electric vehicles, and rising competition in key market China. Residents in the state of Florida were preparing for the potentially catastrophic impact of tropical storm Helene, set to become a hurricane. Businesses were closed with boarded up windows and locals were picking up sandbags from distribution points. Tampa General Hospital installed an aqua fence, a barrier that can withstand up to 15 feet of storm surge. Hurricane Helene is forecast to rapidly strengthen and could hit Florida on Thursday as a Category 4 storm, producing catastrophic winds of up to 251 kilometers per hour. Helene entered the Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday and was expected to pick up strength from the Gulf's warm waters before making an expected landfall in Florida's Panhandle on Thursday evening. The Hurricane Center said more than 40 million people in Florida, Georgia and Alabama were under hurricane and tropical storm warnings. Next, Terengganu FC held to draw the Vietnam's DATH FC. That and more in our sports segment.
Melaksanakan misi, mempertahan maruah, mencipta secara setia pertemuan, takkan jenta dengan asalkan membuat peluang terus tegakkan satu perjuangan, satu suara akan direncana hingga dalam memburu takkan keraguan, kekuatan bicara.
Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Terengganu FC TFC were held to a 2-2 draw by Vietnam's Dong A Than Hao FC DATH in their Group A match of the ASEAN Club Championship ACC tournament at the Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium last night. Host TFC, guided by coach Tomislav Stenbuckner, drew first blood in the 22nd minute through winger Muhammad Akhyar Rashid's long-range effort. Buoyed, the Turtles continued to pile on the pressure and their efforts paid off when Manuel OTT doubled their lead in the 41st minute. Undaunted, the visitors, led by coach Veliza Emilov Popov, struck in added time of the first half through Luis Suarez. Then in the 52nd minute, disaster struck for TFC as defender Mohamed Obaidullah Samsul Fazili netted an own goal to allow the Vietnam team to head home with a share of the spoils. The national football team, under the guidance of coach Pau Marti Vicente, will take on India in an away Tier 1 international outing on the 19th of November. The Football Association of Malaysia FAM said the All India Football Federation AIFF will finalise the time and venue for the international assignment. FAM in a statement said the match is set to be held during the 11th to the 19th of November FIFA international window. They added that they are also working on arranging another Tier 1 international match with another team during that period. Based on the latest FIFA ranking, India are currently ranked 126th in the world, 6 rungs ahead of Malaysia. Malaysia last played against India last year with the Harimau Malaya squad under then coach Kim Pangon emerging 4-2 winners in the Merdeka tournament at the National Stadium in Bukit Jalil. Malaysia last travelled to India for 2 friendlies in 2011 with the squad under coach Dato K. Rajagopal, drawing the first game 1-1 in Guwahati and losing the second 3-2 in Kolkata. Real Madrid striker Kylian Mbappe sustained a thigh injury ahead of this weekend's LA La Liga derby with Atletico. The French superstar was taken off during the 3-2 win over Alaves on Tuesday and appeared to be suffering from discomfort. He will take around 3 weeks to fully recover. The Spanish champions, in a statement that following tests carried out on Mbappe, had been diagnosed with an injury to the biceps femoris in his left leg. Mbappe scored a superb goal in the thriller at the Santiago Bernabeu with Alaves and has netted 5 times this season in 7 league appearances. Madrid, a point behind leaders Barcelona ahead of the Catalans match on Wednesday against Getafe, visit the Metropolitano Stadium on Sunday to face rivals Atletico. Los Blancos have not been beaten in La Liga for 39 games since a defeat at Atletico a year ago. The striker is also set to miss the visit to Lille in the Champions League next week and potentially October's Nations League matches against Israel and Belgium with France. France World Cup winner Raphael Varane on Wednesday announced his retirement from football at the age of 31, adding that he will remain at Como in a non-playing capacity. Former Real Madrid and Manchester United centre-back Varane had joined the Italian club for this season but was then excluded from their Serie A squad, having suffered a knee injury in August. Varane came through the academy at French club Lens before joining Madrid as an 18-year-old in 2011. He claimed the first of his 3 La Liga titles in his maiden season in the Spanish capital. In 2014, he secured the first of his 4 Champions League crowns, winning a league and European double 3 years later. Varane joined United in 2021, lifting the League Cup and FA Cup with the English club, but his time at Old Trafford was disrupted by injuries. He left United at the end of last season to move to CESC Fabregas' newly promoted Como, playing just 1 Coppa Italia match when he sustained a knee injury. After retiring from international football at just 29, Varane cited the extreme physical and mental pressures put upon top players. He has also spoken out about concerns regarding the impact concussions suffered by players could have in later life. In tennis, four-time major champion Naomi Osaka said on Wednesday she did want to have regrets after confirming she had teamed up with Serena Williams' renowned former coach Patrick Mouratoglou. Former world number one Osaka, now ranked 73, defeated Lucia Bronzetti of Italy 6-3, 6-2 in the first round of the WTA 1000 China Open. After trading breaks in the first set, Osaka made the decisive break in the seventh game of the first set. On the back of some big serving, she increased the pressure in the second set, breaking Bronzetti twice more to seal victory. The 26-year-old Osaka split from Belgian coach Wim Fessette this month as she attempts to return to the form that propelled her to the top of the women's game. Japan's Osaka said she felt like she needed a change and described Mouratoglou, who is best known as Williams' longtime former coach, as a big persona. Fessette had two stints coaching Osaka from 2019 to the summer of 2022 and again when they reunited last year as Osaka launched her return to tennis after the birth of her daughter Shai in July 2023. Osaka had struggled to put together victories since she returned to the WTA Tour in January. Elsewhere, Poland's Hubert Hurkacz advanced to the last 16 of the Japan Open on Wednesday, September 25th, after a hard-fought victory of Marcos Giron of the United States. Second seed, Hurkacz beat Giron 6-4, 6-7, 5, 6-4 in a match lasting 2 hours 8 minutes as he continues his attempt to qualify for the year-ending ATP Finals. He currently lies in the 9th place, 655 points behind Australia's Alex de Minaur, who occupies the final qualifying berth. Matteo Berrettini also went through. The Italian beat Botic van der Zandschulp of the Netherlands 6-3, 6-4 to set up a meeting with Argentina's Mariano Navon, a 6-4, 6-4 winner over Italy's Luciano Darderi. Berrettini, a three-time winner on the ATP Tour this year and ranked number 45, will face the winner of the match between American Taylor Fritz, the top seed, and Frenchman Arthur Fils. And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story today, Malaysia makes appeal to limit use of veto power in UNSC to avoid obstructed peace efforts. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Saluran Berita RTM for more news. Or you can always stream us live on RTM Click's website or mobile app. Till then, Malaysia, I'm Olivia Nicholas. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching and have a good afternoon.